Welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Playbook. This is episode number 70, and this week's guest is none other than Jordan Prais. Jordan, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Joe. I appreciate the applause.
Yeah, we brought quite the audience in for you this week. There you go.
You shouldn't have showed me those.
Just don't hit that one. That's the one that goes on forever, the top left. But, to kind of jump right in, Jordan, what is when you're kind of going in school, kind of coming out, thinking about what your career path was going to be, what made you choose real estate?
So I never had plans of being a realtor. What my plan was to just be a basketball player, right? So I went to college, and I didn't know about playing basketball overseas yet, so I thought it was NBA or bust. And I found out about that, and I was like, well, let me try to do that. Let me try to pursue that path, and it worked out. So after I finished playing, I didn't really have any plans for anything as far as career-wise. So when I came back, when you play overseas, you play for 9 months, and then you're off for about 3. You're just hanging out at home. So during that time, I was training at like 5 a.m. to get ready for the next season. But when you're 23, 24, all your friends have jobs, right? So I'll train at 5 a.m. with Buddy, everybody go to work, and then I'd sit at home and I started watching real estate shows. $1 Million Listing, Love It or List, all those shows. Property Brothers was a good one. And I was like, that's kind of a cool job. It's like sports. You eat what you kill. You don't have a boss. At that point in my life, I had like 23 jobs from 16 to 23. I probably had a problem with authority, so I thought every boss I had was like an idiot. So I was like, I don't really like the whole boss strategy to that point in my life. So I was like, well, this real estate thing seems pretty cool. I think I'm going to do that, right? And then I get a call from my agent. He says, hey, I got the same deal from you in France, $3,000 a month, give you an apartment, pay for your lunch, give you a car, whatever. You pay for everything but gas and groceries, right? Mm-hmm. And in that moment, I go, nah, man, I'm going to pass. And he goes, really? I said, yeah, I'm going to be a realtor. That's what I'm going to do. And he's like, all right, great. And I never heard from him again. That was the end of my career. And after that, I went and got into real estate school. And I did a year of teaching just because I was like, I probably need some ancillary income to get this started. And I thought teaching was a good situation because you get 2 months of checks over summer. So I started teaching for that year. I told the principal I'll be here for 1 year and I'm gone. And then during that school year, I got my license. So that's how I stumbled into real estate. I had never been to open house, never talked to a lender, never, looked at a home, nothing like that. So I'd never really considered real estate until I watched a bunch of television.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of the TV shows giving you an insight on what it could be like and the opportunity. And then obviously you having the mindset of, hey, I kind of want to do my own thing, work for myself and not really have kind of a boss or somebody to report to.
Stay competitive, eat what you kill like sports. You work hard, you play. You don't work hard, you sit. Mm-hmm. You earn more opportunity as time goes on. And my thought was pretty simple. It was like, I'm making $3,000 a month playing basketball. So my goal, my grand ambition at 24 years old was, all right, first year, I sell one $100,000 house a month. I make $3,000 for that check, and I'll make the same I make for playing overseas. That was like the idea. Then obviously like that year I sold 60 houses. So I was a little I underestimated my sales ability because I'd never sold anything. But it was just kind of like you earn what you get. And if I absolutely am terrible at this, there will always be a 9-to-5 job. Mm-hmm. There will always be a teaching opportunity. There will always be one of those situations open. Because at this point now I'd have a college education. I would have played basketball overseas, which I don't know if people really cared about, but it's kind of a cool story, I guess. And I have a touch of sales experience, right? Mm-hmm. So that was kind of like my idea is like, if I'm terrible, I can always go get a job.
Yeah. Yeah, no. And honestly, kind of the ideas you brought up, eat what you kill, and, being an entrepreneur and doing everything on your own, the market would kind of dictate if you're going to be successful or not by obviously being able to close transactions and close homes.
And that's a lucky portion of my career is I got in before real estate was back, right? Mm-hmm. So when I came in, you'd walk in a neighborhood, there's 15 houses on the market, a nice neighborhood, 15 houses on the market, all sub 200,000. 12 of them were REOs or short sales. And the buyer, I don't care which one I get, whoever gives me the best deal. So every offer you make is in the buyer's favor. So you're not disappointing your person you're working for because they're like, hey, it's $200,000. What do you think I should offer? I'm like, 175 brand new roof, full closing. And they're like, "You that aggressive?" I'm like, "Who cares? We got 12 more we can pick from."
Yeah.
So like it was a nice entry, and then obviously I got a chance to ride the wave of real estate coming back up, and learn the ropes. And then less competitive time. I think the last couple of years there have been so many agents in the market that it's more competitive for each deal you get, especially for a young agent. Maybe not for an established agent who's getting a lot of referrals, but like if you're a young agent, you let that person walk out the door and they call someone else, they may never come back.
Absolutely.
Whereas they walked out the door on me, there was no one else to call.
Mm-hmm.
So it made it nice and easy.
Yeah, back then it's kind of like getting those calls of, "We're so happy you picked up the phone" type of thing. Because they'd call 3 or 4 people and nobody'd answer or return the calls.
Yeah, because it was before Zillow was a big thing. I got a lot of my business in that time off Zillow. I think I paid $200 a month, got 70 leads a month.
Wow.
Because I was over delivered. There was only me and another agent in the zip code.
Now you probably get like 1 lead for that price.
Yeah, I don't think you can even buy one. I don't think you can get on Zillow for that much money. So I was buying these Zillow leads, and I'm 24, 25 at the time. So like somebody would inquire at 1 a.m. This is before the way they have it structured now. And I would call them because I'm just hanging out, right? I'm just a young guy who doesn't have a bedtime yet. I'll call him at 1 in the morning. My lender was the same age as me. I'll call him. We'll get somebody qualified at 1 in the morning. I'll be showing them houses at 8 in the morning when they're off work.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like the hustle of that too was good. But yeah, it was one of those things where, hey man, I've clicked on 12 houses today and no one's called me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm your guy.
Yeah.
I'm here
for
you.
The stories all the time.
Yeah. So, and that helped build my database and help a lot of the clients I still work with today. I met through Zillow back in, I've been in this my 10th year. So I met, 8, 9, 10 years ago. So yeah, it's been a fun ride.
That's awesome, man. So before we kind of keep going further along real estate, I'm sure, not especially our audience hasn't heard too much of people, the first guest obviously playing professional sport overseas. Why don't you just touch a little bit about all that experience? How was it like playing in France?
I always sum it up with 1 year was enough, right? So I think if I went to like London,
Mm-hmm.
where they spoke English, and I could have had more of a social life, or if I went to Paris, I was in the south of France. I was like in a village, like Beauty and the Beast, when she's walking around going, bonjour, bonjour. When we'd walk out the door, the woman that lived in like the apartment below us, we called her Madame Bonjour. She spoke no English. No one really spoke English there. So it wasn't great, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, most dudes who play over there are 5 years or less, because it's almost like you're kind of like in the weird prison, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to have a very strong passion for the game.
Mm-hmm.
And by that time, I was just checking off a box of my life, saying like, I was cut in 9th grade from the basketball team. I wasn't Michael Jordan cut from varsity. I was cut from the whole team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Came back in 10th grade, made the team, got a college scholarship. And I was like, this way, no one can ever tell me I'm not good enough to play. I can end it on my own terms. So that was kind of the ambition of it. As far as like the games and stuff, it was fun. I averaged like 20 and 10. But it was weird when you're overseas, because if you score, I remember one game I had like 25 points. No. The worst game was I think I had 38 points. I scored over half the team's points. And the coach comes in after and goes, your points mean nothing, because we lost. And the reason being is, as the American, you're the highest paid person on the team.
Mm-hmm.
So you're judged on this insanely strict like grade that's like impossible to keep up with. But it didn't really matter, because as long as you're getting your stats, you'll get another contract, right? Mm-hmm. Your team could be awful. If you make it through the season and have good numbers, good tape, like you'll get another contract. So you're kind of like a mercenary, right?
Was it annual contracts?
Yeah. So, you can sign multi-years, but not when you're in that point in your career, right?
Mm.
So if you're a bigger, in one of the bigger leagues, China, Israel, Turkey, they have really big leagues where guys are making $1 million a year. They'll sign for 2 or 3 years, but usually even at that level, they're still signed for 9 months. So I was signed for 9 months. I got paid for 10. So I got a little kicker on top of there. But yeah, it's a different experience. I think it's different for everybody who does it. Like if you ask 10 people who played overseas, they'd have a different answer. But for me, it was really just checking off a box. I got to see the world on somebody else's dime, which meant nothing to me, because I literally hate traveling. But I have seen a lot. I've been to the Dominican Republic. I've been to Spain. I've been to France. Obviously, I've been to Alaska, all through playing basketball. So
that's awesome.
I just hate traveling. So like I've never enjoyed any, like it was never a goal of mine. It still isn't a goal of mine to see the world.
Right.
So like it's this weird thing. I got to do it, check the box off, and I probably have the least amount of appreciation for that. And I know a guy who played overseas for I think 8 years, just because he loved the worldly experience, right? He loved going to different places, seeing different things, visiting things.
It's the culture of all the countries and cities.
Yeah, and immersion therapy, learning different languages, all that stuff. So he played for a long time, probably not making much money, just for the culture,
the experience.
The growth of it, I guess, a full rounded human being. So yeah, different strokes for different folks, but it is, if you have the ability to finish your career on anything, I think on your own terms, it's the best way to do it. So you leave my son's starting to play basketball, right? He's in his second season of basketball. First season was more of like a practice league. This is like up and down. I have no ambition. I don't have to live through him. I don't have any ambition to like see him do something because I did what I wanted to do.
Right.
So like, as long as he's having fun, he's enjoying it. Obviously, he's enormous. He's as big as like an 8-9-year-old, and he's 6.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, that part's cool to see him do it. But he could walk up to me tomorrow and say I quit, and I bet you're gonna finish the season, but I don't care.
Yeah.
So that part's been cool too, is to see him take to something I liked. But it's
awesome.
also nice not being the dad who's like
living through the sun. Yeah,
well, making your kid like work out at 5 years old, and you hear the stories. You're talking to a buddy and he's telling you how he's training his kid, and it's like, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. There's some kid right now, you name Giannis Antetokounmpo over in Greece, who's gonna be 6'11". I'm looking at you. You're 5'8". The NBA thing's probably not going to work out for your kid because there's some kid who's working harder just because he has nothing else to do than your kid with all the trainers you want to hire and who's genetically superior, right? Yeah. One of the big reasons I played college ball and big reasons I played overseas ball is I'm 6'7". Like that's a big reason. One of the big reasons Kobe Bryant was he's 6'7", and he could jump 50 inches off the ground. Like there's a genetic code to this stuff that if you look at it, it's pretty prevalent. Like most quarterbacks are 6'3", 6'4", and up. It's like that's not by mistake. It's because they got to be able to see over the monsters in front of them.
Yeah, right? It's rare you have like a John Stockton or Drew Brees out there.
And like when you look at the NBA perspective, John Stockton was more common in the 90s, in the 80s, because it wasn't global. We weren't pulling Luka Doncic, 6'8" point guard. We weren't pulling Giannis Antetokounmpo, 6'11" Greek freak. We weren't pulling Joel Embiid, 7'2" African. Like these guys weren't available, right? They were in the world. They didn't play basketball. So like that whole thing of those guys, I'm not saying like John Stockton couldn't play now, but that talent pool is growing out. So there's less Americans who are going to be able to play in the league. Yeah. It's just how it works. So if you're 5'6" and your wife's 5'4", you got grand ambitions of the NBA. I mean, you gotta be pretty good to have a 5'5" kid making the NBA. That's why we know Earl Boykins and Nate Robinson and Muggsy Bogues. That's why you know them by names, because they're anomalies. Right. And I don't know if the anomalies are going to happen anymore because people are growing. I mean, the game is growing throughout the world. Yeah, and the ball handling, right? You're having these bigger guys where they handle it up and down the court. Positionless basketball. There's no one playing. No one is playing basketball or learning basketball the way Shaq did. Right? Everybody's learning to shoot from at least 15 feet and further out. Everybody's learning how to dribble the ball, handle the ball, make passes, and things of that nature. So, like, you look at Nikola Jokic. I mean, that guy passes as good as any guard in the league. He's a center. He's very rarely going back to the basket, banging the low post with a drop set. So the skill set changes. I tell everybody, if you want your kid to be good at basketball when they're young, just tell them to dribble. If you can dribble the ball, you can pass the ball, you'll probably be able to play at some, whether high school, college, whatever kind of where your talent might max out at. But if you can't dribble now, I mean, there's no 2 dribbles, drop step, late, and that game's dead for the most part. I mean, look at Joel Embiid shoots threes all games. The guy's a monster. He could easily be Shaq. Yeah. Right. I don't know if anyone could easily be Shaq, but he's got the physical attributes for it. Right. And he doesn't do it. So, yeah, it's an interesting growth. Well, true. Very true. So, like, a lot of times it sounded like you took a bunch of jobs, odds and ends before, teaching. You kind of went into that with the mindset of, hey, one and done. I'm going to give it a year, get this real estate thing going, get my license, start to get some transactions under my belt, and then do it full time. But obviously working other jobs. And we always like to say, see, what makes a great agent? What are some of the skill sets or attributes they had from their previous employment that they were able to carry over into the real estate profession to have them achieve a high level of success? With you, I think it'd be more because you were doing basketball at such a high level, probably learning more about life and building your character, belief system through basketball than possibly the other jobs that you probably had job dissatisfaction working, just to kind of
make odds and ends meet kind of during that time. What are some of the skills or some of the core values you learned from playing ball that kind of help ground yourself into who you are and help you have success in real estate because you're already grounded with a set of principles?
So I think the one like anyone would think off top is like your work ethic. You don't get better at basketball at practice. Practice is for the team. You got to get better on your own time, right? Which is the further you go in the game, the more you learn. Because when you hit the professional level, there you go home for summer. You're home for summer. There's no training program. No one's telling you what to eat. So like the work ethic, obviously you learn through like, okay, conditioning is gonna be very hard, but I'm gonna get through it because I gotta get to the season, right? So like just the work ethic of showing up every day, doing your best to get a little bit better, and then finding time, working on your own time, even when it's inconvenient. That translates over largely. The next thing is like time management. So when you get to college, you got 15 hours of classes a week, right? And then you got 20 hours of basketball. So you got 35 hours a week that are earmarked before you do anything. So when I was a freshman, they give me this thing like, okay, these are your blocks, which I didn't know at the time, time blocking. From 8 to 30 to 10, you're in class. Then from 10 to 11, you're at weights. Then you got class, grab lunch, practice, study hall. And they're like blocking out your entire day. And like in those times, like you're trying to just get through each day. And as a freshman, you feel like you're never stopping. It feels like it's always going. And I think when you first start real estate, you feel like there's always something happening. I remember my first deal, I felt like there was a million moving pieces. I didn't know where they're coming from, but they all like were converging here, but I didn't know how to control anything, right? And that's how you feel as a freshman in college. Like you feel like you're never stopping. And then by the time you're senior, you're so used to it that you're actually managing your time. Your time's not managing you, right? You're managing your schedule. You know what you need to do. You know, like where, okay, I can, instead of having lunch here, rush, I can move it here, and you can do different things to manipulate the schedule to be better for you. And as you go in your real estate career, you learn like these activities, if I prioritize them, I can actually make more money, have a better business and things like that. So like the time management is what I learned a lot from college, work ethic through the whole thing. And then like obviously playing professional ball is like there's no one's going to force you to work. So you got to show up and work. And I think that's the tough thing for realtors a lot of times is if you've come from a corporate environment where you showed up at 9, you went home at 5, you were paid on Thursdays, and now you have no structure and no one to tell you what to do, you can either thrive off it or you can abuse it. And when you abuse it, the realistic possibility of making $0 becomes a reality, right? And if you utilize it and maximize it, then there's unlimited potential.
Yeah, absolutely. So, some things you kind of touched on to sum it up that I heard. One, I'll tell a lot of people finding comfort in the chaos, right? And I think there's so many things going on, and a lot of people, when they get placed in chaotic situations, they get overwhelmed very easily. But you find that once you understand that all these variables will be a constant and you've done it for so long, you realize it's not that chaotic, right? It's just a part of the business for you. It was part of the basketball, going to college, and then, correlated and to create a real estate career. It's just kind of figuring out your own system for it because there's so many moving components. But the 3 main attributes I heard from you was discipline, obviously, making sure you did what you're set out to do, schedule, time block, and then work ethic, which, I think are 3 attributes for pretty much any career, but I think 3 that a lot of agents lack.
Yeah, I think it's a human thing, right? It's not specific to real estate. People like to say they're working hard. We just talked about this. People like to say they're working hard by doing busy work.
Getting ready to get ready.
Yeah. Punching the clock isn't working hard. Working hard is like poignant, purposeful work, right? On a goal. So like when I look at my goals, you set them up for a year, but then I got to break them down into, quarters, bi-monthly, months, weeks, days, right? And if I can win every single day, I'll win the week. If I win each week, I win the month. And if I win each month, I'll win the year. So like, I think you have to have like a laser focus on what you want to do and who you want to be in life and in real estate. Like if you want to be a top producing agent, you have to then mimic top producing agents. A Facebook post and a new headshot, you might get 700 likes. It ain't going to get you no business. And if it does get you business, it's not going to be sustainable.
And I think too, it's not only winning the week, right? Because obviously it's more sustainable. You win the week, you don't get off track. But it's also if you lose the week, then it's quicker for you to make an adjustment or pivot a move rather than losing the year.
Yes.
Because you weren't tracking those losses.
It's kind of like the old dieting thing. Just because you have a bad meal, don't make it a bad day. Just because you have a bad day, don't make it a bad week, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have a bad week in real estate, or you take some time off to recharge yourself, don't take your 1 week vacation and make it a 1 month vacation, right? Don't take your 1 week of I knew I should have made these calls and I didn't until like I haven't made a call in a month, right? Right. If you stay on focus with your goals, you're less likely to let a little blip become like your norm.
And I'm sure you see this too, but when I was in production and top producing agents around the brokers here, two of their best months are typically November to December because for whatever reason, over half the agents for some reason can't find time to work from Halloween to New Year's, and they take a lot of time off just because of all those different holidays. But
yeah, I mean, people they want to reward themselves for working hard over summer, right?
Yeah.
It's like majority of people move over summer. You're not special. You didn't work hard. It's just that's how the calendar sets up.
That's the data.
So then they have the most money they're going to have all year, and they're like, "Well, I don't really need to work anymore. I don't have to work. I'm awesome. I'm killing it." And they fail to realize that January, February are always going to be your slowest months. So now you've taken a great summer, turn it into a weak fall, and it's going to be an abysmal winter, right? And now here we repeat the cycle. Now we're in the spring. I got to get it together. I get some money. I got to pay my bills, and then I'm God's gift. It's summer, and let's do it again, right? So I think it's predictable almost, right? So the people who keep working, the last 2 years, my biggest months have been November each year. Like
mine were when I was in production at a high level. All 5 years for me and my wife, December was one of the top two.
Yeah. I mean, I always have a really strong March, April. I think just because like you pay that tax bill and you get kind of angry and you better get to work. And I always have a good, because I always tell my wife like I'm soft in January because in December you're kind of like there's not that much to do. You're kind of closing deals, you're fielding calls. Hey, we're going to get to this next year type thing. And you get soft on like how many appointments and how many conversations you're having. And then by like summer, you're like bulletproof again. So I just follow that bulletproof through the into the fall. And then I go on my honeymoon or anniversary. And then it's kind of Christmas. And then I get soft again, right? So like right now I'm like toughening up again. I've had less of a transition this year. I feel like I've done better than I have in the other 9 years. But comparatively, I feel like I'm still soft compared to where I was 3 months ago. Just as far as like if you're mid-season grind, right? Like I'm playoff ready. Like I'm in like week 3.
Yeah,
I might still tweak my knee. I don't know, but yeah, I'm
starting to get conditioned.
You hit summer, you're playoff ready, and then I try to just follow that through to the end of the year. And in December, you're going to be slow. Once the Christmas, people are blowing their down payment on the Christmas gifts. Once the trees come up, they don't want anybody in their house. It's hard to have a great January. Now you can have you shouldn't have a 0 January. You should still be able to pay your bills. That's my goal every January. Just pay the bills. Let's just get through January. Let's get to February. We'll start making some money. Right. January, you pay your bills. You call it a good month and move on.
Yeah. No, that's a great tip. And not dipping in the reserves, just making sure they get everything kind of paid because December is usually a light pending month. Yeah, which I can see for January.
It's just how it works. Right? I did 9 deals. I don't know, it was last January or the January before. That was the only time I got 5 this year. I'll close 5 deals this month, right? And it's fine. Like I'm paying my bills. But if you look at me over a year, for 2 years, I close about 8 to 9 deals every single month. So I'm light.
Right.
And it annoys me. That's why by March, I have a good March. I'm annoyed about to stroke a big check to the IRS. I'm just moderately annoyed. I'm annoyed that instead of having 90 deals, people, how many deals do you close here? 90? I'm like 4. Like it's depressing. Yeah. You always wonder, is it over? Yeah. Because I have a flash in the pan, a 9-year flash in the pan where I closed all these deals. Now I'll never sell another house. All that stuff goes into it.
Absolutely. So, you were talking a little bit about kind of getting into real estate, and I want to talk. I would say sum it up by your mindset, right? Your goal was to get in. If I could do 12 deals a year, 1 a month, I'm kind of making what I was playing ball in France. So, one thing that you didn't expect, obviously, I think was possibly selling yourself short on how good at real estate you could have been. What was another big aha or takeaway that you didn't expect when jumping into real estate?
I didn't have any expectations, right? Like I just watched a television show and thought it looked cool. And I just thought if I sold 1 house a month, I could make what I make as a teacher or a professional basketball player overseas.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one thing I was surprised by is how much I enjoyed like the grind of it. Like I still genuinely enjoy the sale, right? I still genuinely enjoy, hey, you're under contract. Hey, we got the deal together. Hey, whatever outcome we were seeking, we achieved, which is why I still do it. Like I still don't see myself coming out of production for a long time. I didn't think I'd enjoy putting deals together that much. I had no frame of reference though to think I would or wouldn't. But yeah, I still enjoy calling my buyer and saying, hey, they took your offer, right? Mm-hmm. I still enjoy telling my seller like, hey, that inspection, how they asked for a laundry list, we're only doing this, right? Mm-hmm. Like we won, right? And it's not winning or losing because the ultimate goal is to help someone achieve what they want, but it feels like a win to them, right? Because mm-hmm. they saved money or they got the home to grow the roots or whatever. And that once that goes away, I'll probably look at doing. I'll probably be in real estate, but I'll probably look to be more like you outside production, managing a team. I hate management. Mm-hmm. I don't see myself ever. I'm a sales guy. Like I can call myself a realtor. I'm a sales guy. I'll sell car seats if you like. I don't care. I'll sell anything, right? I just enjoy selling stuff. So I don't think I can ever do management. I don't think this will ever get old. I think after 10 years, if it's not old yet, I'm not going to probably wake up in year 11, but you know what I don't want to do? I don't want to put that deal together, right?
Yeah. Well, sounds like you still have passion for the process.
Oh, I love it. It's the only reason I do it, right? Then I make good money. But like, no, I have a passion for the process. I have a passion for the business. The other day there was a post on Facebook, and a photographer asked for luxury agents. And, people hop on and, oh, I'm a luxury agent. I passed this class. Oh, I'm a luxury agent because I sold this one house. A true luxury agent works a certain price point. They turn down stuff outside that price point. They built their career. They built their relationships to get there, right? Mm-hmm. So I wrote on the post, do you want real luxury agents or do you just want people who say they're luxury agents? Because if you want real luxury agents, here are 4 names of people who are real luxury agents. Mm-hmm. And people were like, man, like how could you do that? Like, I said, I didn't put myself on the list. I didn't say I was a luxury agent. I'm working to become one. Like I sold 12, I believe, luxury homes last year, but I don't believe I'm a luxury agent because I sell a lot of other stuff too. I was like, I respect those people who built that business, mm-hmm. right? And I find it to be, I think it's disrespectful of people who just have a license or pass I don't know what that luxury class is. And they say, I'm a luxury agent now. And they mm-hmm. go around saying, because you're disrespecting the people who put that work in to get to that level, mm-hmm. right? So I take the business very serious. I have a passion for like the people who work in this as a full-time way of feeding their families. Like I take it all very personal. I'm like Michael Jordan watching the iPad, like, and I took that personal, right? So like, but that's how I see it. Like I still really enjoy learning. I still enjoy connecting with other high-level agents, seeing what they do, what works, what doesn't work, and stuff like that. So, that's kind of what keeps me going. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, obviously, if that passion's still there, like you said, after 9 years, I don't think it's going away anytime soon.
No, it would surprise me.
So obviously, when difference with you, like most agents, I don't want to say small-minded. That's not the right word to use, but they're very transactional based, looking to kind of build their sphere, build, whether it's lead generation, cultivating a farm, whatever it might be. But they think of, they pay attention to the ones, I say, where they're trying to pick up one transaction from here, one transaction from there, and ultimately grow that into 40, 50 a year, whatever it is that their goal is. With you are one of the few agents I've seen who kind of come at it from a macro perspective, meaning you're now cultivating business-to-business relationships. What was something that kind of, and you can talk as little or as much as you want to about that, but what was that kind of mindset shift for you where you went away from almost consumer to consumer to the business-to-business mentality to create that higher, faucet of leads just flowing in and opportunities rather than these constant one-offs from multiple people?
I think when you do 7 years of Zillow sales where everything is very transactional just by nature, it is what it is. You're working with a lot of strangers. It burns you out. I was talking to somebody who makes a lot more money than me in real estate and done it a lot longer than me and is a lot smarter than me. Obviously, I'm not very smart. I said on the last podcast I was on, I'm not super smart, but I will do what somebody smarter than me will say. I kind of got to the place where I was like, listen, I make as much as an attorney. I make as much as a doctor. I make as much as most professions that don't, have a ball balancing, right? And even some of them don't make that much either. So I'm not too far away from the low end of that, right? And I was like, if I can cultivate great relationships with small business owners that can sustain me for the next 20 years, however long I do this, that's going to be more enjoyable than meeting a brand new stranger and selling them a home. I'd rather take care of the people who I've built a relationship with in their transaction already, and then work with people who are other small businesses who can help me in my business, and hopefully I can help them in their business. It has to be a two-way street, right? I can't just be a taker. So when I would see opportunities I got rid of the fear by saying I am a successful businessman, right? I'm not just a successful realtor, I'm a successful businessman. And so I said, if I can connect with these people and I can have a connection with them for 10, 20 years, maybe I could have the good old boy system when I'm 45 years old, right? Maybe I could have something in my life where I have these guys or ladies I can call on and have great conversations, and they can help me with my problems. And then along the way, we help each other in business. So like, that's where the mindset kind of started, was through 7 years of being so transactional and I was terrible, right? I didn't even go to closings. I didn't give closing gifts. I gave a high level experience, great response time and things like that, but I in no way took care of the people I worked with. And I was like, I'm going to take great care of the people who help me feed my family. And I'm going to go find other people who feed their family like I do and see how I can help them. And then maybe they can help me with finding a deal or two a year, right? So like that was kind of the shift. And that shift happened 2019. So it only took me 7 years to figure out that would be a fun way to do business. And again, I would have never figured it out. I'm not that smart. Somebody smarter than me said, this is something that you should be doing. Mm-hmm. And he always says this. He's like, people will find you very interesting. And I'm like, I don't know why he says that, but he seems to be right. People do find me interesting. I don't know, just because I'm so tall or what it is, but he's like, people will like talking to you. You should just go call business owners and see if they'll have lunch with you. And then just see how you can help them. See how they can help you, right? And if you don't like them, don't call them again. If you do like them, then make a friend.
Yeah, vice versa.
So that's kind of where it started, but it was from just pure transactional lifestyle for so many years, right? And then also I had kids, right? Like my son's 6, my daughter's 5, so they were like 2 and 3. And it's hard to be a Zillow guy because you're running out of the house all the time. Like, I mean, you be sitting there on the couch watching TV. Watching Dexter with your wife, and you're like, hey, I gotta go to Mulberry. I gotta go show this house. And she's like, all right, see ya. And she didn't care. She was younger than me. She just thought that was the hustle. So she was like, that's cool, whatever. Like, he's feeding his family. But like, ultimately, this isn't, if I want to go to my son's basketball game, I can't, I'm coaching this team right now. I couldn't have coached this team 6 years ago because I would have had to stop everything every time for every buyer who called me who I did not know. Not people I know and people I care about and people who've cared about me and people who've fed my family. Strangers, right? Mm-hmm. And that's not sustainable. So that kind of pushed me into it too, like find higher level relationships.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. And I think some of the relationships you're able to cultivate also will hedge you from a down market.
Yeah. I mean, that's the ultimate goal is like everybody feels a down market no matter what phase of small business you're in. It's not like it's realtor exclusive, not lending exclusive. If you're a title company, if you're a lawyer in your title company, if you're a home inspector, right, we're all feeling the same stuff as far as like the slowing of the market. So you want to be able to call people who are smart and be like, hey, or who can be like, hey, I got a deal for you or whatever. So that, and that's about around the time I met you, right? Because I started here, 2020, March of 2020. So we're coming up on 3 years. And like you helped me too with a lot of the mindset of like, this is a pretty good idea. So like you were affirming, I'm saying it like I know what I'm talking about. And you're like, this is halfway smart, right? Like I actually like this idea. Like keep me up to date and let me know how I can help you. So like you got to have somebody in your corner who like backing up your idea. Otherwise you're kind of like, am I insane?
Yeah.
Maybe I am insane, but we'll find out, right? So no, it was good. The timing of meeting you for that growth was instrumental too, because I don't think I wouldn't have had a sounding board. Right. Because we would talk, just like we've done on this podcast, we talk a lot about sports, but we would talk about the intricacies of these programs and different things like, have you thought about this? You play devil advocate sometimes, things of that nature. So that was always helpful early on in this transition. So yeah, it's been a run. It's been a good 3-year run.
Well, and it's been the same, I think, for us too. Like you say, a relationship that works both ways, where it's winning for both parties. Because some of those ideas we've implemented over here that you've had success with, and kind of had that beta run to cultivate those relationships and see what was working, was not. And when you rolled it out to us, we already got the modified blueprint. Yeah, so you're kind of putting the blueprint together.
I think I did it the hardest way possible.
You typically seem to do a lot of things that way.
Yeah, well, you jump in and you're like, I don't know, but if I do all of this, it has to work, right? If I call 100 people every single week, somebody has to want to buy or sell a house, right? So that's how I've always been. Like, the more I do, the less likely I will fail, right? I may not have I waste a lot of time. I mean, if I had minutes and hours back for how much time I had wasted in my life, it'd be a lot of time.
But it's finding out too what's working and what's not, so that way you're able to tweak it. It's almost like sometimes you have to go through that process to figure out what works and then what to prioritize your time on. And then once you got that thing buttoned up, jump onto the next venture.
I definitely have to go through it because I don't have any bright ideas, right? I just copy and paste. So if somebody says this is the plan, I do the plan, and I can't tweak it, right? I don't know why. I just keep doing that thing, and then 6 months in, I'm like, I guess I could tweak this thing, right? But it's like after 3 months of that activity just absolutely not paying off, or like it's more like getting rid of this thing. Like, I don't need to do this portion anymore, right? So, but yeah, I'm past all that with a lot of these relationships. Now, if they see me, I saw a small business owner I knew at a store, and I met her husband there. I knew who he was, but I never met him. We were standing there talking for 40 minutes. And that's more satisfactional. It's not super great for my wife because she's like, when are you coming home? I'm like, don't worry. I saw Melissa at the store over here, so I'm just talking. And she won't even send me into Publix anymore. She's like, if I send Jordan to Publix, he's 30 minutes talking to somebody every single time. And I'm like, well, babe, I'm 6'7". Like, they see me across the store. Yeah. Like, your
head's above the aisle.
I'm like, and they like me. They like me. It's like, the worst thing in this world is somebody liking me and wanting to talk to me in the career I've chosen. But Absolutely. She's introvert. She don't want nobody to talk to her.
Yeah.
So I try to like embarrass her. The other day we were walking to Jose Bank, and they do. I don't know why businesses do this. It drives me crazy. But they keep that one door locked and leave the other door open. So like that, I grab that door.
That's locked.
And since I'm with her, I start yanking on it. I'm like, I won't open. And the people start turning around, and she's like, oh my. So we walk in the store and like, how are you doing? I was like, she was better before I did that. She's like mortified, right? So even like that little bit of people looking at her drives her crazy. And meanwhile, I'm the one yanking the door.
And intentionally bringing
and they're like,
eyeballs over.
They're like, look at this maniac grabbing her. Does he not know it's locked? What is he doing?
Did he not think to try the other one?
Yeah. I'm like, oh, this one works.
Yeah, and I think, too, to talk about kind of what you were saying of just following the blueprint, like when somebody gives you what to do, one of the coaches that, I've mentored under for a short time said always emulate before you innovate. And it's like, hey, learn the plan, learn the system. But I think so many people get in their head they can do it better, and they start picking apart the blueprint that somebody already has had success. But you, like me, I had the same mindset. If somebody's successful doing something, I never question anything. I'm like, well, he knows more than what I know. I'm just going to do exactly what he says. I'm not going to question anything. And then as I went through months in, I started to kind of figure out what worked for me and what doesn't. But until I had a high level of sustainable success, meaning I kept achieving it month over month, I didn't tweak a thing.
The macro will work for everybody, right? So like the general idea, the big blueprint will work for everybody. But market to market, person to person, the micro has to change, right?
Yeah.
And you don't know that until you're in it. So like you look at Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, right? If you watch highlight tapes of them, like Kobe played just like Michael because he studied Michael and copied his game, right? But he would do things different than Michael, but overall, like, he was Michael Jordan. Right? He even had the same trainer, probably a lot of the same regimen. Actually, he didn't have the same trainer. Dwayne Wade had the same trainer as Jordan. But, like, the moves and everything like that. So, like, Kobe was smart enough to say, I'm 6'7", I can jump 50 inches off the ground. That guy's 6'6", jumps 50 inches off the ground. I'll just do what he did, right? And then I'll change the details, right? I'll change this, that, or the other to fit me. But I'm not going to try to, like, reinvent basketball here, right? And I think that's where you get in trouble is when you try to reinvent the wheel. Ain't no innovators in real estate. Like, it's the same game. Like, everybody does the same stuff. The goal is the same. Like, all these really smart people with all these shiny toys, like, the only thing they're doing is selling you a product to make themselves rich.
Well, that too. And the people who a lot of times I think you think are innovating because they're on social or they have a lot of public attention, you don't see the profitability. There's not that much money. Most of the money is being made people behind the scenes. I still one of the most profitable agents I know, Fizbo's and Expireds, was netting over $1 million a year. Just Fizbo's Expired. I think he ran his whole operation at like 1.2 million in revenue with staff and everything. He was running his whole operation about $1.50 a year.
And Fizbo's Expired has been popular since the 70s.
Yeah.
So like he did not reinvent the wheel. He just made the perfect wheel for him, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think if you
was following the Mike Ferry system to a T.
Here's a tip. If you're on social media and you see this guy with 15, 20, 100,000 followers, go to their videos and see how many views they get, right? That guy with 15,000 followers might have bought them all. And he might be in 40 to 400 likes or views, not likes. And they're a liar, right? And you're just looking at that top number going, this guy must know what he's talking about. And really, he's just a liar, right? So I always tell people, if you see somebody on social media, if they're getting 10% of their follower count, that means they have a legitimate following, which means they're probably telling people some good stuff. And if they bought their followers, they're a fraud. Like they're just purely a fraud. I will not be convinced otherwise. I've seen that show. It was on HBO. It was called it was something about social media where they bought followers, bought likes, bought followers, and they made a girl Instagram famous. Like buying followers, buying likes, staging photos, and all this different stuff. They literally made a person who was getting stuff sent to them by different businesses who were promote our stuff. And it worked. She actually did gain a following from doing it. So social media is a lie. Social media is like a highlight tape on steroids, right? If you look at Reggie Bush's highlight tape from high school, right? It looks better than it did in the pros even. So it's like Reggie Bush's highlight tape in high school is everybody's social media. It's like they're not lying. Some are flat lying, but at minimum they're embellishing.
Well, they're not showing the losses or the pain. Everything's victory, and a lot of times those victories never happened.
Yeah, a lot of times they're just recounting stories other people told them.
Yeah, 100%.
I put up a picture this weekend of my son. So I'm coaching this team, right? So I'm on court. Ariel took a photo of us. And I'm talking to the 5 kids who are about to play. And I wrote on it, the caption said, I'm coaching the UCF Gold freshman team, currently undefeated. I said not important, but somewhat relevant. They don't keep score. So we're undefeated, but they don't keep. We haven't lost. Well, we haven't won. So but if I just left it as that undefeated, people are like, man, this guy he's coaching.
Good coach, yeah.
Yeah, and it's no, they don't keep score. We're all winners.
Yeah.
So that's social media, right?
Yeah.
That's social media. Everybody's undefeated, but no one's keeping score.
100%. Yeah, that's true. That's a great way to sum it up. As far as kind of get back to, real estate in your career, a lot of agents I feel struggle with work-life balance. You talked on some of those attributes before, the discipline, the time management, time blocking that you learned back from college that help you instill, a schedule so that way you could deal with all the chaos, everything that comes your way of real estate. But what would be some other tips that you would give to agents who are high producers now getting to kind of level where they're running around crazy like you were with Zillow, doing a lot of production, or maybe they're newly licensed agent or, not, just starting to become an agent, maybe we're unaware of the hours and what it takes. What would be some tips for a work-life balance and how to achieve that?
Tip 1 is you have to go unbalanced for an extended period of time to match the business you want, right? Unless you want a business of 1 to 2 transactions a month, which is, fine. If that's what you desire, you can have great work-life balance. If your goal is to be a top producer in any reputable brokerage where you're closing 20 plus million, you're going to have to decide that I will be unbalanced. I will sacrifice time. Because when I started, I didn't have a wife or kids, but I always say the only day I had was at the bar with my buddies every night, right? I had to get to the bar by 10 o'clock and start drinking, right? So, but there was a lot of times where I wanted to go do Sunday Fun Day, and I can't because I need to go show one house, right? So you have to go unbalanced until you have the base of business, the database of business to then sustain, right? Once you hit that place, now it's about are you acting selfishly, right? Is me one of the metrics I judge myself if I'm doing well as a work-life balance guy, which I'm terrible at. how many nights a week do I eat with my kids?
Mm-hmm.
So one thing I'll do is I'll have breakfast with them every day because I can control my morning. And then am I home at like 5:30 to 6:30 to have dinner with my kids? And as long as I'm doing that 4 of the 5 nights, 3 of the 5 nights a week, I feel good, right? So if you set metrics yourself, because at some point, like you only need so much money, you only need so much business. You're just doing it to feed your own ego. That extra deal, instead of doing 95 deals last year, I did 96, but I missed 3 more dinners because of it. Like that was just being selfish. Like, my family still would have ate that dinner without me doing that. So it's setting parameters and setting metrics. So I think the important thing is like you set metrics for like what gives you work-life balance, what gives you a great life, what's important to you. Like one of my goals this year is to take my wife on a date 2 times a month, right? Just me and her, no kids. Doesn't have to be fancy. Doesn't have to be anything extravagant. Just it's an hour to 3 hours of me and her, no kids, no work, no nothing, right? Dinner with my kids, coaching Lincoln in basketball, going to see Malia gymnastic class at least twice a month. So these different things, if I'm hitting these metrics, then I feel good. Not missing, like Malia's got a mid-year assessment for her K4 class. I got to make that. I got Olympics coming up for the kids at school. I got to make that. Like if I'm hitting these things, these moments, and I'm around them, I feel good. Now that might not be for everybody.
But it's almost like, and not to kind of cut you off, but it's almost like what you did in business where, you have this big goal and then you kind of break it down to the monthly, the bi-monthly, the quarterly, the weekly, even the hourly. You're kind of doing that in your personal life as well to make sure that you achieve that balance. Yeah.
I do it everywhere, right? Like even I do it with like friends. How much am I talking to you, right? Like me and you, we talk, if not weekly, bi-weekly, right? If we go 3 or 4 weeks and I think about you, I got to call you. Right? I got to check in. You good? How's everything going, right? Because life is going to happen. Like last summer, you're on vacation with the boys. You're running around doing different things. I'm obviously in selling season over summer. It's easy to go a month without speaking. Yeah. But like as long as one of us make that attempt, hey, let me make a call. Let me go see how he's doing. Because that's a meaningful relationship in my life. So like, am I talking to my friends like a couple times a month? Like, am I seeing them? Like we grab lunch probably every 2 or 3 months, make sure we're seeing each other in person. Those things, like I think when you set yourself metrics that you can follow and say, I am following these things or I am missing these things, it keeps everything in check and balance. Like I always say, like I'm not a great husband, but I aspire to be a great husband. One of the ways I become an average husband is I ask my wife, hey, are you happy? Are you happy with it? Do you still like me? Is there anything I can do better to make you like me more? And she's, she usually says, yeah, she's happy, or else I guess we wouldn't be together. But like, she's always like, yeah, I've been home for dinner lately. I don't really like that. Or, I haven't done this thing or whatever. And like by me asking her, now I know what I need to do to make sure that I'm keeping that in check. Right.
And you put the plan in place.
Yeah. It's usually she's happy. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of something like I've been pretty good lately. So I haven't had a problem lately, but like it used to probably been like you come home and you're on your phone, you're still working. I'm not seeing you. I'm not talking to you. I feel disconnected. So all right, cool. I need to come in the house for the next couple of weeks until I break myself the habit of walking on the phone. One more call, one more, right? One more. Then it's 3 hours on the road and it was too many one mores. I come in the house, I put my phone by my keys and I'm okay. I can't look at my phone. Right?
So what it sounds like is that you're almost putting yourself a self-governor on.
Oh yeah.
To kind of limit what you do and to make changes so that way they're kind of mandated.
Yeah, I let her govern home, right? She runs the house. I pay for the house. She runs the house.